There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
Man, that Masters looks good with that TV screen in there. And just the flowers come shooting right out there. Do you know if they have a late spring at Augusta and the flowers haven't bloomed? Or if they have an early spring and they're past the prime, they'll sneak up into the woods and put pots up there.
No,
to
really?
Make it look like it's in full flower. Yes, they. Now they can't do anything about the trees being past full flower or not there yet.
How often does that happen?
Oh, about half the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because every time I watch it on TV, it looks gorgeous.
Yes, well, they spend a lot of time.
Oh man,
keeping the romance going. There's some very interesting cats. One year. They decided number 11, which is, okay, you go down the hill on number 10, a tough hole. You go down in that valley, and then you got to hit the shot up where Bubba hit the famous shot around the tree. And then 11 is this ungodly thing that you come out of this chute, and then the green is sitting down there on the left. But it's sitting down there on the left in front of the water, and everybody was hitting it around the corner and making it a little flip wedge shot into there. And this offended them. But so one spring we show up, they build a force to pay me while they just, all of a sudden they got a force there that makes the guys go to the right. You know, they got to hit it out of the chute and stay to the right.
Yeah.
It's not, they were just all new trees planted big enough, not fully mature trees, but big enough to make them go where they wanted them to go. They just build a forest.
So when you're planning for the yearly Masters, when they're doing their adjustments of the course, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room, right, to change the landscape.
They've taken most of it up. The course from when I first went there, whatever year Stadler won, I think 82 was my first one. To now, they've had to add 700 yards, 700 yards. I was telling Wheeler that number 2, which is the par 5 downhill where a lot of guys everybody makes birdie if they're playing decent. But it used to be, there's woods back in there, but they were woods, okay? Mm-hmm. And then there was this plateau. And they hit it off this plateau, and it rolled down the hill, and then they could get home. Well, they started, and there was a bunker out there great big bunker on the right to keep them from going too far down, from going down the hill. They had to play behind the bunker. Well, then they started blowing it over the bunker. You know, they would whoop, and that thing it'd get over the bunker and it'd run downhill like a jackrabbit, man. The ball would just go especially if the course was dry. So then they moved it back. There was all of a sudden one year you get there and there's a new tee 30 yards back in the woods. They still were hitting it over the bunker. The next year they were 60 yards back in the woods down there. You could barely see them back in there. And it was right next to the back fence. We thought that we didn't know what they were going to do. We thought maybe they were going to build it out in the parking lot and make you hit it back in there because they wanted the course to be played the way it used to be played. Well, they finally gave up on that. It's impossible.
But I thought part of the charm of the Masters and the mystique is that the players, the experience is what they want to weigh in the favor of the course. So in other words, they like that there's routine and that every player knows every nook and cranny of that golf course.
What they don't like is when the winner's 18 under,
Sure.
like Mr. Woods was there. That shook them up something fierce. When
we got to do something now.
And of course, like every other collection of idiots, when Tiger was young and strong and hit the ball further than anybody, they figured the way to Tiger-proof the golf course was to make it longer. You were playing into his hands. Right? So he was still hitting different shots than everybody else, but he was hitting 6 irons when they were hitting fairway woods, Mm-hmm. So somebody finally got smart and started saying, okay, we're going to make them tighter, and everybody's going to be hitting their second shot from the same place Tiger is, because there's many holes that there's no advantage in hitting it long. But if you made the golf course longer, you just basically...
You were giving him another advantage.
Him a big advantage.
Now, I gave Joe and Corzo yesterday. Did you hear the quiz, the Masters quiz that I gave them yesterday?
No, I was at the
ball you were
game.
chronicling the ballpark.
Yes, I was.
And I couldn't remember, what was the name of the bird? Because you tweeted it out, and I couldn't remember the name of the eagle that landed on Paxton.
It was Challenger.
That's what it was.
Okay. Challenger.
And, it was so great.
It was fantastic. But poor Challenger, all these sports teams that want to be more patriotic than every other team, they're wearing his ass out. They're killing him. He gets no time off.
He's playing too many minutes.
Yes, he's playing too many minutes. And now you got 40,000 people screaming, and you got jet airplanes going over the top of him. He got a little confused.
He didn't know which route to take.
I said they got to give him a couple of weeks off to go fishing. Let him go down to Florida in the backwaters there and catch a few fish. And,
well, I blame Tibbs for that.
Yeah, I think so. Too many minutes. He looks scrawny. He used to look better.
Is this is the same bird?
I think so.
Sure, why not?
Well, maybe he's like Hammer. Maybe there's more than one. But, this was I'll tell you one thing. I was impressed with two things about James Paxton. How hard he throws and how he didn't freak out.
Oh,
he did.
You know what he had?
Poise. He had poise.
He had poise.
The Seattle guys said that if it had been Felix... he'd still be running. He wouldn't have stopped. He'd be well past St. Paul.
Through the crowd,
Felix is...
Wait a minute.
Felix doesn't like creepy creatures or anything. They said we would have never seen him again. He would have
gone.
He would have been back home, wherever the hell he comes.
Wait a minute, guys. What if Challenger had landed on our guy Adrian Beltre's
on his head.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, right.
Wow. Could you imagine that?
Adrian would have done to him what Dave Winfield did to the seagull. He would have killed him.
He would have been in prison, never to be voted into the Hall of Fame because he killed the bald eagle.
Killed the bald eagle. Carlos Gomez was another one I had in mind.
He was jumpy.
I don't think Gogo would have handled it too well either. And he's faster than Felix. He would have been in Milwaukee.
Felix, we would have never seen him again.
They said he would have went whoop. He would have taken off.
It was because they showed it in studio on Fox Sports North, so we were all watching it because I told Joe because it was at the tail end of GL. I said, "Hey, put it on," because he was watching golf, and I said, "Put it on," because the flyover, they always show the flyover for opening day, and he always misses it.
Yeah.
So I said, "Turn it on Fox," and literally, because we were in a commercial break. And literally, the second he turned to it, that's when the eagle came swooping down, and we all said, I said, Paxton didn't even flinch.
Well,
he just kind of bent over a little bit, but he said,
you see his quotes today? He said he could felt the talons, but he just figured, okay, I'll just stand here and wait.
So did Challenger mistake him for the handler, do you think?
Yeah, he got confused. He took a right. I think maybe the sound made him take a right, and then he saw a guy standing over there.
Oh, here's my guy.
Yeah, because he was by himself. Paxton was like stretching.
Out in the outfield. Yeah.
He was stretching in left field, and then when the anthem was being played, he stopped, and he was standing out there at attention, and all of a sudden, right at the end of the anthem, maybe it was Dessa's voice that scared him. I don't know, but... he went right at him. And,
if it was Felix, we'd have never seen him again.
No. By the way, James Paxson hit 98 a few times, 97 pretty consistently. You got 1 ball and 2 strikes on Miguel Sano, and you're ahead 2-0, and there's a man on first base, and you decide to throw him a knuckle curve at 80 miles an hour. Somebody has got to be responsible for that. You throw a 97-mile fastball at his letters, and he strikes out. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. Why are you trying to fool him when you throw 97?
And he golfed that.
If you throw it down, if you throw the fastball down, Miguel can hit it, Not real well, but he can hit it. But if you throw him 97 at the boobs, he's got no shot.
And by the way, how Miguel of a game was that yesterday?
Yes, right. The bad play.
Boots a couple in the...
Yeah, the bad play, the good play. But, he's as good as Plouffe was when Plouffe was playing bad at third.
Sure. Plouffe was a tad more consistent.
He drives you crazy. But he's hit 3 homers, and they basically won 3 games.
And the play he made at the end of the Pittsburgh game was pretty good.
Good play. But anyway.
Miggy do what Miggy do.
Yeah. Miggy being Miggy.
He do be Miggy, that's for sure. He had a kid in the clubhouse yesterday with him that got some of his dad's traits for erratic behavior. 2-year-old.
Was he all over the place?
Running like crazy. Yeah, running like crazy. All right, we'll be back. So I was looking up some tunes by our musical guest for today, who we will be introducing later, and I ran across Toby Keith and a guy named Steve Emmerich.
Scott Emmerich.
Scott Emmerich at some appearance with Willie.
I think it was his 70th birthday.
Maybe it was his
presentation.
70th birthday. And I kind of knew this song existed, but I hadn't heard it yet. I'll never smoke weed with Willie again. And the crowd seemed to enjoy it.
Oh, of course they did.
I think this was the first time they sang it. I think that
was the debut.
Nice. This was the YouTube one, I think. That I don't think with a guy like Willie, you could have probably honored him in any better way.
That's the way it's to be done.
Point out that the young fellas couldn't even hang in there with him when he was 70 years old on the bus. But it's see, I guess this is why I've come to really enjoy old country, because who's going to do that? Who's going to sing that to? Who's going to get a tune?
Maybe Manny and I will do that about you and Diet Coke.
I'll never listen to Racy Belch again. Something like that. So, gentlemen, did you see Marlene Stollings?
I did.
Is interviewing at Texas Tech. And
unlike when you suggest Patino's off to interview for a job, she's actually going to do it.
And you know who's going to be the happiest man in the Twin Cities if she takes the job?
Mark Coyle?
Mark Coyle. I think she is not. She had a hell of a year, and maybe she can coach, although she didn't coach any defense till this year. But I don't think any noble effort will be made
to match the Texas Tech offer?
Match whatever offer she might, if she gets offered the job. I would imagine she's not flying down there unless she's getting offered the job, right?
Well, I would assume so, yeah.
They don't draw. They had a good year. They drew a few people at the end, but not too many. But this is the no-brainer of all time, isn't it? And we just saw Memphis, the University of Memphis, demonstrate to us what you do, right? Mm-hmm. They hired Penny Hardaway. They don't care if he can coach. They know he's going to get the players, and he's going to have assistants. And Penny knows his basketball, too. Mm-hmm.
And he'll get the AAU
He's not going to have
recruits.
to X and O and hell. He's going to get like they used to get, the 5 best players in Memphis and West Memphis, and if you do that, you go to Final Fours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whalen.
No.
Whalen.
No.
Whalen. The most popular female athlete in Minnesota history. Smart kid, knows her hoops, and here's what you do. You have her play this season with the Lynx. The new coach is going to win $1 last championship with the Lynx.
Huh.
You got a couple of highfalutin assistants, Trent Tucker and Kelly Reusse.
Or Big Mama.
No, we might get her into... I don't think we want to give her a lot of role modeling responsibilities, Big Mama. But we get her.
She
into
could teach toughness.
Well, they always have a operations director. Right?
Okay,
she could be the operations director. Yes, and she might, personality coach. But Trent Tucker, smart guy. He got railroaded out of his job in Minneapolis. I was talking to Larry Fitz Sr. and Charlie Hallman, and it was just a political deal for somebody over there.
You're kidding me.
Somebody over there didn't like him, had too much power. Who wants to see some power. Political deal. Trent Tucker. We've always wanted him to be the men's coach. He could come over. He'd recruit. He knows basketball. Kelly Reusse over at, great Gopher.
Yeah. Over
at Mac. She comes over. You know who else? Shannon Boldens is up at Northland. Coaching up there. Shannon Bolden. I got their staff for him. I was so inspired by this because I solved... A couple of days ago, I solved baseball's cold weather problem.
Yes, you did. The Reusse plan.
The Reusse plan. Now, this is not a crisis yet because we don't even know if the coach is leaving. But I've decided I've got a new handle on Twitter. The Fixer. You got a problem, sports problem, I'll fix it. Right?
Well,
I'm the Fixer.
Hold on. Time out.
What?
Maybe the Fixer, as it relates to sports, might not be a good name to
that's a different kind of Fixer.
Right.
There was the Fixer. The Fixer was the guy that had the guys out in Vegas in the hot tubs.
That's what I mean.
This is a new... This is a different kind of Fixer.
How about the Sports Fixer?
The sports... Well, that's the same as the...
That's true.
That's even more blatant.
We're not really
than the
solving it there.
But...
Okay.
What about the PR of having the Lynx are in the finals, and every time Lindsay's coming up the court, they say, that is a new Minnesota Gophers basketball coach playing guard.
I like where you're going with this, but here's my only question. Because Lindsay's made it clear that broadcasting is the route she wants to take once her career is done.
You know what a broadcasting pays her? $100,500. You know what playing for the Lynx pays her? $125. You know what coaching the Gophers women's team pays you? $400, $450, something like that.
Okay, and I know she'd recruit.
You can buy a lot of beer at the bar in Hutchinson for $450. I'll tell you. That class reunion, she'll be picking up.
We will do whatever it takes if that happens to become the home of Gopher women's basketball.
It'll be fantastic. But she's the first call this guy makes if Stollings leaves, isn't it?
Oh, I would think so.
Let's get the happy news from Wall Street.
Let's head out east to get the Your Money Now report. It comes to us courtesy from Owatonna's own Federated Insurance. And with that happy news, here is Bruce Vail with Your Money Now.
Well, while I do this, Patrick, you can answer line 3. It's Boston College basketball calling, something about a fixer. They want you to call them back. We had some bad news today from China. China said it is ready to strike back. It threatened new U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods, and that led to more trade concerns and sent stocks sharply lower to close out the week. It ended up being a losing week despite the gains Tuesday through Thursday. Today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 572 points to 23,932. The NASDAQ Composite dropped 161 points. The S&P 500 fell 58. The Trump administration is pursuing ways to protect domestic car manufacturing by forcing imported cars to meet stricter environmental rules when entering the country, a move that would make imports more expensive. And Google issued its first voice-activated coupon, a $15 offer for Target orders placed on the shopping service Google Express via Google Assistant. The offer was activated by saying, "Spring into Target," into your Google Assistant or typing that into the Google app. Google is also running a pilot program with Target to help customers learn more about this capability. I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now on 1500 ESPN.
All right, thanks, Bruce. Have a good weekend. This traffic sponsored by Indeed. Congestion-wise, we are off to a pretty good Friday start. One incident, crash on 494 westbound at Lyndale Avenue. The right shoulder there is blocked. Other than that, things are sailing along fairly smoothly. Are you hiring? With Indeed, you can post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates in an online dashboard. Get started at Indeed.com/hire. Our forecast: cold 8 tonight, 32 tomorrow, 32 Sunday. Snow moves in Sunday afternoon, sticks around through Monday.
Johnny Height, this is going to be a dynamic segment because we're only having one here today. Al Berstein from Showtime will be calling us to give us a little preview of the Caleb Truax, James DeGaulle fight on Saturday night in Vegas.
Very nice. Sunshine, 21 degrees. Twins are off today. They'll be back at it tomorrow afternoon against Seattle. Twins 4-2 on the young season. If you missed it last night, the Nuggets beat the Wolves. That means the Wolves and Nuggets are tied for the 8th spot in the Western Conference. They both have 3 games left. The Lakers play the Timberwolves tonight in Los Angeles. And the last game of the season, this would be interesting if it comes down to this. The Nuggets are here next Wednesday night.
I want them to miss. Come on, we can do it.
That'll be a fun game. But tonight is probably the key game of the season. Yeah. You cannot
Aren't the Lakers playing pretty good?
Well, the last couple of weeks they haven't been playing so well, they've got nothing to lose, and they're certainly looking to play spoilers. So
let's put it this way: the Wolves have lost to worse teams.
Yep, they have.
I just want to.
They have Memphis here in the revenge game Monday. Yeah. So if they can beat the Lakers tonight, they got the revenge game. They'll be playing Denver.
So do they need to win one of the?
No. They at least 2.
Yeah, at least 2, and even if you win 2, you're still sweating.
Is Denver, you're out of luck.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
I tell you, the Rockets are nervous, though. They don't want to face us in the first round.
Yeah.
We can hold them to 20-21 threes. Why not?
Yep.
At the Masters, Patrick Reed is through 7 today. He's in the lead at 6
under.
under.
One of my picks.
Mark Leishman is at 5 under through 8 holes. A bunch of guys tied at 4 under. Tiger's going the wrong way, as they say. Through 8 today, he's plus 4.
Birdie putt right now on number 10, actually, and he's still at 4. 5, it looks like the cut. So.
News notes from today. One man arrested after a crash involving a Ramsey County squad car and another vehicle early this morning. Ramsey County Sheriff's Department Public Information Officer Rebecca Sherman said it all happened about 2:25 this morning. A deputy who was near County Road I at Lexington near Shoreview when he saw a car going 80 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone.
Oh.
Sherman said he tried to stop the vehicle, which reportedly sped up, then stopped and pulled out a bit. That's when the deputy's vehicle collided with the car near Donegal Drive and Turtle Lake Road in Shoreview. The suspect, a Shoreview male born in 1980, taken to the hospital. No injuries reported. Upon discharge, the suspect arrested. He's been charged with 3rd and 4th degree DWI. Roseville Police Department will investigate the portion of the incident involving the crash.
So 80 and a 40 and drunk? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's bad. He might lose his license.
Yes.
BNSF.
But the beauty is that won't stop him if he loses his license.
BNSF Railway confirms a rock slide stopped train traffic this morning for an early part of the morning off Warner Road in St. Paul. Spokesperson said...
That's our second one in 2 days.
Rock slide?
Well, no, we had a train derail.
That was a derailment. This was a rock slide.
Just a rock slide, okay.
Yeah. Spokesperson said the company received a report of a rock slide about 1 in the morning. Traffic in the area held until the slide was cleared. One track returned to service around 5 this morning, the other about 8. Spokesperson said trains are now once again moving through that area. It'll take up to an estimated $50 billion to help rebuild Puerto Rico, according to the administrator of FEMA. Brock Long said today his agency aims to make the island's roads, homes, bridges, and electrical grid as strong as possible, but he noted officials are running out of time because the next hurricane season starts on June 1st. Long said his agency is coordinating a June 14th planning and training exercise with the government in Puerto Rico, in which life-saving supplies will be delivered to the island's 78 municipalities to ensure better response times for any upcoming storms. More than 50,000 power customers still remain without power after the Category 4 storm hit on September 20th. South Carolina debated seceding from the Union more than 150 years ago. That decision helped lead to the Civil War. Now, apparently, the topic's coming up again. A trio of state House Republicans in South Carolina yesterday quietly introduced a bill that would allow lawmakers to debate seceding from the U.S. if the federal government confiscates guns purchased in South Carolina. Okay. The bill provides that the General Assembly...
that Second Amendment... Thomas Jefferson specifically said we got to have our AK-47.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
The bill provides that the General...
Tell that Reusse.
The bill provides the General Assembly shall convene to consider whether to secede from the U.S. based upon the federal government's unconstitutional violation of the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. The measure, sponsored by Reps Mike Pitts, Jonathan Hill, and Ashley Trantham, has no real chance this session. The deadline for bills to move from one chamber to the other is April 10th. Back in 1860, South Carolina became the first state to declare it had seceded from.
One of my greatest radio moments, Reavers, was the last time I filled in for the mayor. It's got to be 8-9 years ago.
Oh, it was longer than that because it was before my time.
10, 12 years, whatever it was. I was filling in for him. This was when he was in drive time.
We are taking your calls.
I came in and said, "This is their new show for 3 o'clock. I am replacing the mayor." And then I came out with about 3 things that they hated. We're going to, small businesses are overrated. They don't pay the, minimum. And they went nuts. The place almost
was poor Rook sitting here?
They almost blew the place up. It was fantastic.
God.
They're easy to needle.
Almost as good as the time Mishke cracked the mic and said, "Sure is a shame to hear about old Joe passing away."
Yeah.
Were you on that show, John?
I don't recall that. He killed me once, too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was gone from work, and somebody called and asked about John, and he said, "I'm sorry, Johnny was killed in a car accident." And that was it. Then he stopped talking about it, and people thought I had been killed in a car accident. Thanks, Tommy.
God bless you, Tommy.
Nothing will ever beat when he was pulling the tickets at the Hubbard Christmas party, and I can't remember what the grand prize was, but Conus was around, and they'd won like 3 in a row, and pulls it out for the grand prize and says, "It's Conus again," and he threw it back in the box. People went insane.
The original bleepster.
Oh, yes.
God.
Very important news here tomorrow is National Beer Day.
Oh, fantastic. That's why we're doing the Brewers Ball.
The day established to not only honor the history of beer.
Sold out?
Sold out, baby. Well, no, you can maybe get a ticket. You just have to go to the door. mnbrewersball.org.
It also celebrates the Cullen-Harrison Act, an act which allowed people to buy, sell, and drink beer that had 3.2% alcohol by volume and was signed by FDR in 1933. Your quick history. In 1919, the Volstead Act became law, and by 1920, the entire U.S. subject to prohibition. That meant you couldn't have beer, wine, grain liquors. Well, prohibition wouldn't become repealed until December 5th, 1933. U.S. citizens received an early break 8 months earlier when Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the Cullen-Harrison Act. After he signed the bill, FDR is reported to have said, "I think this would be a good time for a beer."
Hey, 3-2 beer is pretty well gone, right? There isn't
pretty much
around at all.
Well,
anymore?
because basically it's now that the laws have changed for Sunday, it's rendered obsolete pretty much. But there's probably a few places you could still get it, I'm sure.
I bet, yeah, you could find some. A Missouri man who decided to clean out his truck found a 2-month-old Powerball lottery ticket worth.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say a 2-month-old baby.
Oh, no.
Even better.
2-month-old lottery ticket worth $50,000. Jason Jacobs of Independence said he bought 3 Powerball tickets for the January 24th drawing using Quick Pick, but he put the tickets in the center console of his truck, and forgot about them until last week. He said, "I decided to clean my truck out. I pulled out the tickets. First thing I did was check how long the ticket was good for, make sure it wasn't expired. It was not expired." He said he and his wife then scanned the tickets at the local Quick Trip store. He said they were confused when the scanner's reader pulled up the message, "Claim at lottery office." He said, so we took the ticket up to the register to have it checked out. The lady said, "Sir, you just won $50,000.
Wow, isn't that something?
Couple said the money will go toward a college fund for their 9-month-old daughter and possibly,
Sure it will.
possibly a family
They're going to be in
vacation.
Barbados next week.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We'll just take $5,000 of it, okay?
A Michigan college student said she used a CPR technique she learned from NBC's The Office to save the life of a drowning squirrel. Central Michigan.
Didn't we just repair one with some shattered feet the other day, too?
Lost some
Cat,
feet.
wasn't it?
Oh, well,
No, that was a squirrel.
Yeah.
That was a squirrel.
We put flippers on a duck.
Yeah, we did that. And painted them. Remember? Painted the flippers yellow.
Oh, that was
so
the duck, I remember.
Yeah.
Tiger hits another one in the woods. He cannot hit his driver, man.
So you're saying the comeback is dead?
Well, He's not going to win Augusta.
It's slowed down anyway.
So anyway,
how's that?
What's the punchline?
She just said she saw The Office, one of the American episodes where apparently staffers learned to use the beat of the song "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees to time chest compressions. She said that's what she did with the squirrel.
You know, when it got to winter in Fulda, Minnesota, and all the seasons were closed, the only thing you could hunt was cottontails and squirrels, right?
Sure, yeah.
And the squirrels, we used to just blast their nests up in the tree and see if they came falling out of them or not. That was some class hunting right there. Just blast them with the shotgun, and if one falls out, you got yourself squirrel dinner, baby.
I got one.
Okay. Yeah, I tracked them hard here. All right. Hopefully we'll be back with Al Bernstein. Al Bernstein will be ringside for Showtime on Saturday night when our guy Caleb Truax fights James DeGaulle for the championship that Truax took away from him in December in London. How you doing, Al?
Hi, I'm good. Nice to be with you guys.
Yes, sir. So how good did Truax have to be that night to win a decision in London? That was, you don't do that too often.
No, he fought a terrific fight. He was very focused. They had looked at a fight previous to that in which Badu Jack had fought a draw with James DeGaulle, and many people think possibly won that fight. And they really tailored their fight plan to a lot of the things that Badu Jack did because Caleb Truax could do it, and he executed extremely well. And astonishingly, although one judge scored it a draw inappropriately, he managed to get the decision, and it was an extraordinary win for him.
I saw him before he headed for Vegas here. Man, he's a rock. He's in good. He'll be in good condition if nothing else. Caleb Truax.
Oh, for sure. Well, he's a very focused and intelligent athlete, and he understood what it took to get it done the first time. And he said, we had our fighter meeting with him recently, just a little while ago, and he said he's more motivated for this fight because he knows some people think it was a fluke and he was lucky to win, and maybe DeGaulle wasn't physically where he should have been, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, I'm more motivated to prove those people wrong a second time.
Did you see it as the huge upset? Everybody is calling it one of the biggest upsets in British boxing history, etc.
It was a huge upset, and I think it was hard to discern that because I thought Caleb would give a good showing of himself in that fight. He's an excellent fighter, and really, other than a one-round knockout to Andre Duell, which came at a very bad time for him, he had no time to train. There were illness in his family that made it very difficult for him to even concentrate on that fight. And it was a fight he shouldn't have taken, probably. And he got knocked out. But other couple losses on his career. One was to Danny Jacobs, who's arguably one of the two best middleweights in the world. And so Caleb Truax has been a very good fighter. He hasn't had the right opportunity at the right time. And so I thought he would fight well against DeGaulle. But, you know, he was clearly the underdog for a reason in that fight. So I can't say I predicted he would win, but I thought he would give a good account of himself, and he did a lot better than that.
DeGaulle at his best, where was he? Was he one of the 10, 12 best fighters in the world, or not quite that high?
Well, I don't know if he's that high, but James DeGaulle is a very good fighter. He's exceptionally good. And, you know, he had the injury after the Badu Jack fight, took some punishment in that Badu Jack fight as well. And the big question is, he told us when we talked to him, you know, that he thought he could get by because he thought he could beat Caleb Truax, and he wasn't 100%. But, you know, there's no question he took Caleb Truax lightly. The question is he doing it again? That's what some people wonder, and some of his comments, even looking forward, have people wondering whether he literally did not learn the lesson the first time. And that's what, I mean, this fight has many interesting storylines, and that's one of them.
Yeah, one of his quotes that was being repeated even here last week was, Truax is not at my level, and I thought I could have beaten him even if I wasn't at my best with either arm after his shoulder surgery. So, sometimes that's just firing people up for the fight, but that is a little offensive to Truax. He certainly can get the nobody gave me a chance angle going for himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, and he knows. He said, "Look, I'm fighting. I've had He has had more time to prepare for this fight than he's had for most fights that he's been in. He's had to take a lot of fights on short notice. So he said, here I am. I'm fighting a person I've already beaten with a much better chance to prepare this time." He said, "Why should I not feel confident?" And it's an interesting point of view.
Hey, Al, Caleb was appearing last week. They were promoting a boxing match that they're going to have later this month at the old Minneapolis Armory, which used to be where the Flanagans fought, Sugar Ray fought here. They've spent millions of dollars to redo this place. It's fantastic. It's a great old building. We got to get Showtime in here for a fight, man.
If Caleb Truax can win this fight, I would love it if we came to Minneapolis for him to defend his title. That would be fantastic. That would be a lot of fun. That'd be great. I haven't been there in quite a while. I did on the old ESPN Top Rank Boxing Series. We came up to Minneapolis 3 or 4 times to do some boxing shows, and I was there for doing boxing for the. It was the Junior Olympics 1 year, but I'd love to come back. I'm a Midwest guy anyway from Chicago, so I love going to the Midwest.
And the great thing about this place is it's the right size. They've either been too big or too small here. The big arena, and this is like 5,000-6,000, and everything's great. Yeah, it's good. So.
Pack that place, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they would. He's gained a pretty good following here for good reason. So how's Showtime's boxing cards doing? You getting some good fights?
Oh, we've had boxing in general has had last year and this year has been terrific, and we've had we've been on a roll with some great fights. And tonight or tomorrow night we've got of course that card is stacked not only with Caleb Truax and James DeGale, but also. We've got a cellular unification match at 154 pounds, Jarrett Hurd and Erslan Lara. That should be fantastic. So we've got a really good triple header. But it's been a great year for the sport and for us.
Yeah, it does seem that we're having a little a comeback here for sure. So what have you heard of this kid from Minnesota, this Jamal James? Have you heard of that kid?
I know of him. I haven't seen him fight though, so I haven't really had a chance to look at it.
They have big hopes for him too, and he's supposed to be a really talented kid. There's a few fighters around up here.
Yeah, there are. There have always been, some nice fighters from the Midwest and from Minnesota, and I think if Caleb can hang on to this title and make some noise, it always has a ripple effect when there's a fighter that from a region that really does well. So I'm sure that'll have a big impact on fighters there and give them more confidence.
The Canelo thing is kind of a kick in the shins for the sport, I would say, huh?
Well, yeah, it was in the sense that certainly a lot of boxing fans are looking forward to it, and they anytime an event like that is canceled, it's a problem. Boxing hasn't had a monstrous problem with that happening with drug tests ruining fights, but it has happened a couple times, which you would expect in we know it's an issue in all sports, and certainly in combat sports it has been to some degree. But we'll see there's an April 18th hearing, and we'll see what is determined, whether it's 6 month or 1 year suspension, and that'll have an impact on whether that Triple G fight moves forward in 6 months or whether they can still make it.
All right, Al. Hey, we hope our guy from Osseo puts on a good show for you tomorrow night.
I'm sure he will, in any case, and it's nice to visit with you guys.
All right, Al Berstein, Showtime tomorrow night, 9 p.m. our time, Central, but that's the start of the card. I would guess the main event is probably 11 or so, maybe 10:30 on Showtime. Caleb Truax against this James DeGale, a great British fighter who he upset, and supposedly the odds in Britain were like 40-1 when he beat him over there. So we'll be back. All right, we shall be back momentarily introducing our Friday Fun Fest musical guest.
Johnny Hyde's very excited about this
I
one.
think he's a Johnny Hyde guy. I think he is. And one of my favorites from the occasions that I'm listening to Outlaw Country, this guy, because he has a weekend show that's pretty fantastic. And he hung out with some real characters, this guy. We'll be back.